The xylophone is probably, I don't want to call it the most basic of all the keyboard instruments, but it certainly is fundamentally necessary to anything written for percussion. The origins of the keyboard are like the piano. They have a very similar layout in terms of these are the white keys, these are the black keys. When I talk about technique, it's sort of similar to my sternum technique in terms of the fulcrum. You have to have that same spot where it's between the thumb and the index finger at the first knuckle. And then the difference between the snare drum and the xylophone is that rather than having your fingertips on the stick, this time you line up the stick against the inner line of the middle finger, like that. And the reason why that's so crucial is because, again, it controls the rebound of the mallet. And what I do is I create a shell around the mallet and I let it have some play. You never want to grip the mallet because you're going to end up using energy to hold that stick. It's going to choke off the stick, and in turn it's going to create a bad sound on the xylophone. Here's my normal technique. You can hear the resonance. Even though it's just a xylophone, it doesn't ring out, it still resonates a little bit. But if I hold the stick tightly, you can hear the sound changes. Maybe not a drastic amount, but you'll find that if you're trying to play fast and you're gripping the stick like crazy, you're going to slow yourself down. You might even start to hurt yourself, and of course we don't want that. Relaxation is so critical when you play any instrument, but with an instrument as physical as percussion instruments, or I should say instruments as physical as percussion instruments, the more relaxed you are, not only do you get a better sound, you can play faster, more accurately, and it just feels good. To demonstrate on the xylophone, I've decided to play what's probably the most famous xylophone excerpt in the repertoire, Porgy and Bess. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to play the excerpt, and after which I'll show you ways to improve it. Now, there are many ways to play that excerpt. I know in the Morris Goldenberg book, he has a sticking laid out where you're playing double rights. Now, from what I've heard, Morris Goldenberg could really play that well like that. I could not play it like that. It would not feel comfortable. A common way of doing it is to use double lefts, as I demonstrated in my performance. Now, double lefts are hard. Double strokes on anything like I demonstrated on the snare drum. I mean, it's not, you can't just do it. You have to practice it. So the way that I learned to practice it, which really helped me in terms of the evenness of the notes, is to play it slowly, of course, like I said before, and you hear how it's all very linear. It's just a run of 16th notes, they're all the same. Well, contrary to what you might think, a good way to help smooth out those individual notes is to play them like you're swinging it, like jazz, like this. Now the reason for that, I couldn't really tell you. It's something about it. It really develops your forearm strength because you're pinching the notes together, you're squeezing them, and something about that when you come back to playing it evenly, it sounds easier, it feels easier. Everything about it's just easier. Another thing to do is to take apart the excerpt into different chunks and work on those chunks individually. And that's the same is true for all the instruments. Anything you are preparing, whether it's an etude or a solo work, you don't always need to just play the whole thing over and over and over. If there's one individual part in the piece that's giving you trouble, just take it out. Practice only that. Repeat it many times slowly. Figure out what the inconsistencies are, identify those inconsistencies, and just hone in on the inconsistencies. I assure you, you'll save a lot of time, and students who have schoolwork and they want to hang out with their friends and they have chores to do at home, the best thing you could do for yourself is make your time count. Don't waste time playing things you already know how to do. You can do those things. That's great. Work on the things you can't do, because the things you can't do are what need the most work. With that in mind, one of the tough parts of this excerpt, besides the whole thing of course, is this portion. Now that spot is hard because the way I play it, I have double left, and then I have double right. And I have to do a jump. So just work on that. Play that, 8 times at one tempo, and then play it. You played it swung, play it a little less swung, and then play it straight. Same thing for this. That was swung hard. Loosen it up like a soft shoe, so to speak. And then play it straight. You get the idea. So now I'll play it again. I've just worked on it a little bit. I'm a little warmed up. I think things might sound better. Let's test that theory. So that was Porgy and Bess. You can do the same thing for other excerpts. There are endless numbers of things that you can use that type of technique, practice technique on to improve it.